Now, the sale of electronic cigarettes to minors could be banned in the U.S. under proposals from the country's top pharmaceutical regulator. It's in response to health concerns about the popular devices which produce a nicotine-laced water vapor. Tom Ackerman reports.
It's taken 5 years for the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to exercise its authority to regulate electronic cigarettes. It's now a $2 billion industry, with U.S. sales doubling by the year. Big tobacco companies are leading the way, offering new products with advertising pitches like this.
I get to have a blue without the guilt because there's only vapor, not tobacco smoke. That means no ash, no odor.
The proposed regulations would require ingredients to be registered and listed, limit claims of reduced risk to those based on scientific evidence, include health warnings, and ban vending machine sales unless they're located where underage youth are barred. The FDA, though, is stopping short of restricting online sales, TV ads, or fruit flavorings, which, according to some critics, are particularly targeted at younger users. At this newly opened vapor store in Washington, which already restricts its customers to ages 18 and up, manager Ryan Bixby says the regulations are welcome.
There's a lot of companies that are making products that may or may not be reputable. It is up to the vendor at this point to do the research to find the companies that are putting out solid products that are reliable, that are made properly.
Promoters of e-cigarettes say they promise to help reduce the conventional smoking rate in America, which hasn't fallen much below 20% in recent years.
E-cigarettes, I think, will be more likely part of the solution than part of the problem.
But anti-smoking campaigners are skeptical.
Well, the big question about e-cigarettes is, are they going to reduce the number of people who smoke, or are they going to act as a gateway to smoking, especially among kids?
The answer to that question will depend on the final shape of the regulations and research to determine whether e-cigarettes help convert deadly smoking habits into something safer. Tom Ackerman, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Joining me now to discuss what these proposals could mean is John Dunne, who's head of sales at Gamucci, a manufacturer of e-cigarettes. Thanks for speaking to us.
No problem.
So public health activists and some members of Congress are saying that these new guidelines don't go far enough because they don't ban candy flavorings, sweet flavorings of e-cigarettes, and they don't do anything to regulate advertising.
Well, I think some of the things that we've got to look at is the regulation in a responsible manner, okay? With this industry, I think what's happening is it's becoming so popular so quickly. Governments around the world have a hard time trying to deal with it and regulate it in a safe and secure manner. Now, with flavorings, that's a bone of contention. Are they designed to entice younger people into this marketplace? We don't think so. Our main market for the product is the 30 to 50-year-old age group. It's not the younger generation. That's about 14% of the market currently, whereas the older segment is about 50 to 56% within that 30 to 50 age group.
So even with the older age group, some say that e-cigarettes keep smokers addicted, or they just hook new users, encouraging them to move on to tobacco.
That's an argument that's being currently made. However, there's really no evidence to substantiate that.
No evidence to contradict it either.
Well, that's true, but there's two real reasons why people use electronic cigarettes. You've got one type of people who use a product to wean themselves off all types of nicotine use. But you also got people who are looking at safer and easier alternatives to continue to have the pleasure of a smoking sensation.
You were telling me something very interesting a few moments ago. You were saying that not all e-cigarettes are the same.
No, you've got a lot of variation in quality in the devices, and that's one of the things that regulation is going to help.
That's what I was going to... so does that not reinforce the case for stronger regulation? I
wouldn't say stronger regulation. What I would say is logical regulation that makes sense. One thing you've got to be really careful about in this case is to not make the devices less accessible than tobacco products. So if you come out with smart, sensible regulation, for instance, you know, not selling to minors is something we've been doing for years.
Should it be regulated in exactly the same way as normal cigarettes?
No, because it's not smoking. You know, you're not ingesting the 4,500 chemicals that are bad for you that you do when you're using a regular cigarette.
The bigger tobacco companies are showing a great deal of interest in this market, aren't they? What does that tell us?
They are, but they're very late to the game, unfortunately. Big Tobacco thought this phenomenon was going to go away. So most of the companies out there are independent companies such as ourselves.
But just a quick one, these guys, the big companies, they know what they're doing. Surely they're interested. They want to get a piece of the action because they know it's going to boost conventional cigarette sales.
They do. They're losing revenue, okay? They're losing customers to electronic cigarettes in droves. However, what we found is they really don't understand the vapor or the person who uses electronic cigarettes. And there really is a stigma with those customers against Big Tobacco. They've spent years using their product. They've spent millions of pounds, millions of dollars with them. Now they've got an alternative coming from an independent source.
All right. Well, John Dunne, head of sales at Gamucci, it would be good to continue this conversation another time. Thank you.